Adult Solutions. Add-on desired.
Hello viewers, welcome to Adult Solutions Daily News Analysis session. This is mainly for aspirants preparing for UPSC and Group 1 of various states. We'll begin with a quote. The same boiling water that softens the potato hardens the egg. It's what you are made of, not the circumstances. Our first article. In this article, we see that the Education Minister is giving a statement in the Lok Sabha. He has stated that 62% of the positions which are reserved for the scheduled caste are vacant in various IIMs, and he also stated that 90% of the positions which are reserved for the OBCs in various Indian Institute of Sciences are also vacant. And if we conclude and if we compare all the institutions and take as a whole, nearly 38 to 52% of the seats which are reserved for various scheduled caste and other depressed classes, these are vacant in IITs, IGNOU, central universities. So what would be the concern? See the concerns. First, it delays upliftment. Reservation as a policy was included in the constitution to uplift the so-called depressed classes. So what happens is, if the positions are lying vacant and if the positions are recruited later on, that is, if there is any delay in the recruitment process, then it would also delay the upliftment of the depressed classes. Second is the vacancy problem. As you can see here, some majority of the positions reserved for a particular category are vacant. It also means that some faculty positions in these universities and these institutions are lying vacant. So it would affect the educational standards of these institutions, and it would also affect the rankings of these institutions, because moreover, when any report or survey is being taken, they will see how many students and how many teachers are there, that is student to teacher ratio. And as you can see, the ratio of the faculty decreases when many seats are being vacant, then the ratio would be less in all these institutions. So the rankings in the global survey will also be less for Indian institutions. So this is third concern, ranking. The fourth is various wrong suggestions provided to resolve this issue. When the issue of vacancies in various reserved positions are raised, it was suggested that rather than trying to reserve and trying to recruit people and leave these positions vacant, if you are not able to find proper persons who are suitable for this role, then you can, rather than all these problems, you can de-reserve or reduce reservations in these institutions. That is, let's say there is a central university. Let's take an example of university called as Pondicherry University, and if 100 faculty positions are reserved for people from the scheduled castes, and due to lack of suitable people, they are only able to recruit only 20 people, there would be 80 reserved positions but vacant from the scheduled caste category. So the committee has stated that rather than showing it as vacant positions, you can reduce or de-reserve these positions. That is, if there are only 20 suitable people, for remaining 80 people, you can recruit from other communities, or else reduce the reservation policy from the 100 to 20 or 30. So this article is stating that this ideology is an issue. This ideology will not solve the problem inherent in India. So this article is providing for a recommendation, for suggestion. This article is stating that as the vacancies are arising due to lack of suitable persons from beneficiary communities, So what you can do is you can sponsor their preparatory programs. That is, let's say if the government start a program for scheduled caste, and if it's providing monetary support to those who are preparing for examinations and those who are preparing for interviews in the central universities, then they would have more chances of clearing this because they would have more resources to use from. So this article is stating that by providing sponsorship to people who are qualified but have small deficiencies, by providing this sponsorship to them, then you can find the suitable people, and also these people's research capabilities and other strengths will also be increased. So it would be win-win situation for both the person who is taking the sponsorship and also to the government. Also, there is a need for greater funding, because sometimes what happens is, as the universities which are autonomous have lesser amount of funds, they delay the recruitment process. So by providing more amount of funds to the institutions, they will take more recruitments. So by increasing the funding and by providing government sponsorship, you can find better and suitable persons. And also there is a suggestion to provide reservation to people who are lowest in the particular category. Let's say for scheduled caste, if there is reservation for 20%, and among the scheduled caste, let's say there are 20 groups, and among these 20 groups, 19 groups are better off than one group. Let's say this one group is more poor than all these groups. So what you can do is you can set aside some percentage of this 20% to this one group, so that the remaining people will not take better of this reservation policy. So let's say of this 20%, you can reserve 15% to these 19 communities and 5% to the least favorable and to the community which is facing many problems. So by having a reservation policy like this, we will be able to bring benefits to all the communities. Next article is regarding the artificial intelligence. So before talking about the artificial intelligence, we should first talk about robots. The term robot is first used in a play by Karel Čapek. He is a Czech writer and he used the word robot in 1920s. So what is a robot? Robot is a machine that does mechanical and routine tasks on command. Since the term robot is being used, since the idea of a robot has started in the 1920s, there have been many imaginations of what a robot can be doing and what a robot can be used for. So there are imaginations imagining that robots can be used in policing, robots can be used in nanny works, that is, robots can be used to take care of elderly persons and to take care of children, and robots are also imagined as cooks. So the imagination does not end anywhere. And after the World War II, we see many people and many industries utilizing the robots in their companies, utilizing for industrial purposes. And even in India, automobile sector and many other sectors are efficiently using robots. So this has been in use from long back. But what is the evolution in the robots was artificially enabled robots. So what is this artificial intelligence and what are the artificially enabled robots? So artificial intelligence refers to the simulation of human intelligence in the machines. So let's take a machine. Until the 1990s, until the use of artificial intelligence has been adopted by these robots, they would do only the functions they are assigned to do. That is, let's say if the robot is asked to print something, it would only print. It does not think about whether there is any, whether the printing is done properly or not. Let's say if it's asked to print on this paper, it would keep on printing, and even if the ink is completed, it would not know, and it would try to print continuously. But with the use of artificial intelligence, it would be able to know what is happening, and it will adopt just like humans adopt to the needs and the surroundings. And from last few decades, there has been phenomenal growth, and in the last decade alone, we see the use of artificial intelligence in many of the applications we use. So let's say you are opening a music streaming app or even a movie streaming app. So whenever you open these apps, they would give you recommendations based on your ideas, based on your choices, based on your likings. So this is an aspect of artificial intelligence. And also whenever you open the Google Maps, or in fact even if you open any food delivery apps, then the foods which you like, which you probably want to eat, they're generally recommended in the first. So there is huge growth in AI in very many applications. You can see it in music, and you can see in food delivery, and you can see in Google Maps and other places to visit. And even in shopping sites, whenever you open the shopping sites such as Amazon and Flipkart, they will provide you the objects, they will provide you the commodities which you are probably wanting to buy. So there is growth of AI in all this. Growth of AI is becoming more and more important. Just like electricity, we are using artificial intelligence in many of the applications we use. So there is huge growth of AI. And one difference between electricity and artificial intelligence is, as if you keep on using artificial intelligence, let's say you are buying something on Flipkart and you spend some time on it. So whatever happened in the Flipkart, this data will be analyzed by the backend servers, and this data will be used to make the website recommendations smarter. So let's say if you open a particular website today, and if you are buying a book from some particular genre, that is, let's say from horror, and if you open Flipkart from if you open this website the next time, then it will directly show you the best books which are available in the horror section of the books. So as artificial intelligence is being used more amount of data will be generated, and this data will be used again by the artificial intelligence, thus it gets better. And we can see the improvement in artificial intelligence by various achievements it had achieved in the last decade. In the last decade, artificial intelligence enabled applications and robots had won over world champions in many games and many competitions. In the last decade, we see artificial enabled applications winning in quiz competitions, in Go games. This is like a game like chess, it is a board game. And also we see artificial intelligence being used by robots and other applications to decode proteins. So there is phenomenal growth of artificial intelligence in every sector. And also with the coming of automation, big data and algorithms, the amount of artificial intelligence and the amount of change that is happening in the world is increasing day by day. So similar to electricity, it can also alter the world, because use of artificial intelligence will reduce poverty, will reduce hunger, will reduce diseases, will provide suggestions, recommendations on climate change mitigation, will help in scientific discovery. This all would be done by the artificial intelligence by predicting, by analyzing, by suggesting. So let's see how artificial intelligence helps in increasing crop yield and reducing the hunger. artificial intelligence will predict rainfall. It can also predict and analyze the diseases, pests that could affect the crops early on. So by predicting the possibility of crops getting destroyed by the diseases, by pests, by rainfall, we can take suitable steps. So by taking all these suitable steps, the crop yield will increase. When there is increase in the crop yield, then you have more amount of food which can be used to feed the poor people. So the hunger will be reduced. Next, it can be used in increasing business productivity. As artificial intelligence goes through all the computational data that is given to it, it will be able to suggest you the measures you can take to reduce the cost you are involving, and also to improve the process you are using now. By giving these suggestions, you can improve your business productivity. Next, it will be helpful in early cancer detection. It would also help you in increasing the accessibility to credit. How would artificial intelligence increase the access to credit? Artificial intelligence, by studying the data of a particular person in many aspects, it would give particular rank to this person, and by using this rank, a person can take loans, because artificial intelligence will ensure that this person have been paying loans. It would analyze whether how much he is taking and how much he is repaying. By using all this data, it would give you a rank, and this rank can be used to increase your credit probability. Also, there was a report which stated that nearly 15 trillion will be contributed by using of artificial intelligence by 2030. This is nearly 14% contribution to the global GDP by 2030. So by increasing all this, you would be able to contribute more, you would be able to produce more, thus the GDP will increase naturally. As you see, there is increase in crop yield, reduce in hunger, reduce in poverty, and other advantages. Due to all this, there would be a probability of achieving 79% of the sustainable development goals. Also, apart from reducing hunger and poverty, it can make the city sustainable, and it can help in responsible consumption. So these are some of the many advantages which are expected from use of artificial intelligence. Now we'll see the concerns. There is a report from the journal called Nature. In this report, it stated that use of artificial intelligence will hinder the achievement of 35% of the sustainable development goals. So we'll see now how use of artificial intelligence will reduce our chances of achieving nearly 35% of sustainable development goals. It is stating that for artificial intelligence to work properly, they have to use massive computational capacity. So if you want to do computation, you need data centers, and data centers require electricity. And in many of the countries, even in India, we produce electricity majorly by polluting sources such as coal, petrol, diesel, gas. As the production of electricity is coming from polluting sources, the use of data centers and thus artificial intelligence will hinder sustainable development goals eligible achievements. Also, use of artificial intelligence will increase inequality. How would it increase inequality between individuals? We'll take an example of two persons. Person A is educated. He comes from a rich family. That is, he comes from a above middle class family. Let's take person B. He is not educated and he comes from poor family. As the artificial intelligence can be learned by person A and can be used by person A more than person B, there are chances that person A will get more amount of income as he is already educated and he is coming from upper middle class. He will use this money to learn more. He will use this money to invest on artificial intelligence. So his income will increase generally. Whereas person B, who is not educated, does not have much money, cannot make use of artificial intelligence. So the income between these two persons will vary. So the inequality also will vary. Similarly, we'll take example of two countries, USA, and we can take an example from any African country. Let's say we take Uganda. USA is already rich. It has enough human resources. It have enough technology. So USA will make use of human resources and technology to better utilize the artificial intelligence. Then USA GDP will increase more. The income of its citizens will increase more. Whereas Uganda does not have even electricity properly. So it cannot even use artificial intelligence. So the inequality between countries will increase. So here we've seen that inequality between people increasing, inequality between countries increasing, increase in pollution. These are some concerns. What are the other concerns? It will lead to loss of jobs. Earlier, whenever people wanted money, they used to go to banks and take money from the accountants or the cashiers. But what happens now? If you want to withdraw some money, you will go to an ATM and you will withdraw money. So the position of cashier will be eliminated slowly, and also in many sectors, the use of artificial intelligence and use of robotics will be eliminating so many jobs. Let's say if you have a farm and if you employ robotics with artificial intelligence enabled, then they can be used in fruit picking, and it can be used in industries, and it can be used for cashiers. So many people will be losing jobs if they are not skilled and if they are not provided with additional skilling and talent. So it would lead to loss of jobs. It would lead to increase of wealth divide. And you can see here with an example that big four companies, that is Google, Apple, Facebook and Amazon, these four companies alone have a stock value of $5 trillion. 4 companies having a value of 5 trillion, and India as a whole has less than 3.5 trillion GDP. So as you can witness here, persons, countries, companies which are using artificial intelligence, they are earning more compared to others. Also, use of artificial intelligence can be used in surveillance and recognition. It would lead to discriminating minorities and colored people. Why? Because whatever data you are providing to these machines, they will understand and they will believe these machines and will act accordingly. So as from centuries, there has been discrimination against the minorities and the colored persons. So machines also will start discriminating on these people. Also, we have seen that artificial enabled recruitment processes have seen male preferences, because from centuries there has been male preference, and this data is given to machines. So the machines will also give preference to males. Also, there is a concept of privacy issues. So now we'll see the privacy issues. First, it would lead to increase in demand for data, and even if you are not giving data consent, this data will be harvested by one company or the other through legal or illegal means. So this is an issue. Second, whatever the ideas, whatever your likings, they get profiled, they get customized, and you would be shown only data related to and symbolic to your likes. That is, let's say there is a person A and he likes movies, horror. He likes horror movies. Then whenever he open Netflix or Amazon Prime, he would get suggestions from horror movies. So what would happen is it would lead to decreasing exposure to other movies. Similarly, if a person is getting customized on his likes, then the applications will only provide you the details which are as per your liking. So you would get lesser amount of images, lesser amount of content which are different from your liking. So it would lead to diminishing of your exposure to the likes of others. And next, it alters your behavior. It can be used to alter your behavior. There is a scandal called as Cambridge Analytica scandal. This was used in USA's presidential elections. So what happened was the Facebook data of millions of users have been harvested, have been computed, have been analyzed, and to change their thinking process, to alter their election preferences, data has been shown to them. That is, they are targeted. So it can be used to target and alter our behavior. Also, we've seen an example of a robot called as Tay. This was a Microsoft robot set up in 2016, and as soon as this robot started working, this is a Twitter robot. As soon as it started working, as the data it has taken is corrupt, as the data it has taken is biased, it started giving out racist messages, racist content, and it finally has to be brought down. So whatever data you are providing to these robots will work accordingly. And as you already know, there have been many discriminations based on gender, race, religion, community, and place of birth. So this discrimination will only be exacerbated, that is, this discrimination will only be increased by the AI controlled robots in future. So what is the way forward? First, as the artificial intelligence is being used not only by the private firms, it is also used by the government firms. There is a need for both the private and the government to come together and to work as per the needs of the common persons. Next, whole of society approach should be taken. So what is this whole of society approach? Rather than taking views of a single community, rather than taking views from a single religion, what we can do is we can adopt multi-stakeholder approach by taking views and suggestions from multiple stakeholders and multiple religions and genders. We can get a better understanding of the needs and ideas of them, so the prejudice will reduce. Next, you can follow the UN Secretary General's roadmap on the digital cooperation report. Also, there is a report by UNESCO which is draft recommendation on the ethics of artificial intelligence to member states. And also in India, Niti Aayog has given a responsible AI for all strategy. So these recommendations, these drafts can be used while designing the artificial intelligence. So the amount of prejudice will be reduced and also the inclusiveness will be increased. Next, there is an article which is talking about robust economic relationship. This is mainly about how we can increase the collaboration between India and USA. First, we'll see the statistics. The amount of bilateral trade between India and USA in 2019 was $146 billion, and to increase it to $500 billion by 2030, we need to increase the bilateral trade by 11.9% annually. Only if you increase the bilateral trade by this particular percentage, then you can achieve this goal. So let's see the areas of possible collaboration. First, containment of virus. We've seen earlier that the Quad grouping has come out to collaborate and to provide nearly 1 billion COVID vaccines to the Indo-Pacific people. So, apart from this, we can also collaborate in the supply chain network, we can collaborate in shipping and even distribution. So, this is one area of collaboration. Next, restoring generalized system of preferences. Under GSP, some particular imports from India to USA have been charged with 0% duty. That is, some commodities which are exported from India to USA are charged 0% taxes by the USA. So, this used to be very helpful to increase some exports from India, but this system was taken down by the previous government led by Mr. Trump. So, by restoring this GSP, we can increase the bilateral trade and next, increase the mobility of professional labor. As we've seen earlier, millions of people from India and Indian origin people are working in United States. This collaboration between the human resources of India and the companies of USA are not only helping Indians but also USA to increase their GDP and to increase their competitiveness. So there is a need to increase the mobility of professional labor. Also, there is a need to increase the collaboration and defense deals between the two countries. Next area of collaboration is engagement of MSMEs. MSMEs in USA are generally larger compared to India. So, these MSMEs can invest in India and these MSMEs can get goods from Indian MSMEs at cheaper and competitive prices. So, this is one area of engagement. Next is clean area and climate change, because we are focusing on climate change mitigation and transferring and shifting to renewable energies. There is a possibility and there is an opportunity to these two countries to collaborate more in this field. Also, we have collaboration potential in digital economy, education, innovation and technology. So, by taking opportunities from all these sectors, there is a potential to increase the bilateral trade and collaboration between United States and India. Next is prelims practice questions. First, consider the following statements. CBI is a statutory body created by the Act of Parliament. Second, Director of CBI has been provided security of two-year tenure by the CVC Act 2003. Third, it operates under the Ministry of Home Affairs. The question is asking to find the correct statements. So, the answer is 2. Because CBI is not a statutory body, it works under Delhi Police Special Establishment Act. It does not work under Ministry of Home Affairs, it works under Ministry of Personnel. So 1 and 3 are wrong, only 2 is correct. Next, the term rule curve recently seen in the news is it related to sports, cyber malware, dams or reservoirs, GDP growth? It is related to dams or reservoirs. Next, consider the following statements. Mullaperiyar Dam is located on the confluence of Mullayar and Periyar dams. According to the 99-year lease agreement between the British and the Maharaja of Travancore, the operational rights were handed over to the Tamil Nadu. Which of the above statements are correct? The correct statement is only 1, because the lease agreement is not for 99 years, but rather it was for 999 years. Next, previous year's question we've taken from 2019 paper. Mediterranean Sea is a border of which of the following countries? Jordan, Iraq, Lebanon, Syria. It is asking for correct answer. The answer is C, because only Lebanon and Syria share borders with the Mediterranean Sea. Next is mains practice questions. Artificial intelligence has many advantages and disadvantages. Explain. Give some recommendations to increase the economic relationship between India and USA. Write it in 150 words and upload it in the comment section. Thank you.
Add-on solutions. Add-on desired.